Hey, Guitar Nerd is here with another build guide for God of War Ragnarok, where we'll be focusing on dealing out as much stun damage as possible by primarily using runic attacks. I did a ton of thorough testing on numerous armor pieces and equipment to try to find what I would consider to be the best runic build to use on harder difficulties, and this is ultimately what I came up with. As you can see here, this is a Google Doc that I created which shows how to get all of the equipment for this build with hyperlinks to online walkthrough guides for anything that may require more detail, so for the sake of time, please refer to this in the description below for more info if needed. As you may have noticed, I'm actually using the Placard of Fallen Stars for the chest piece in order to greatly reduce the damage taken when using a runic attack or relic. Although there are plenty of other great chest armor pieces that can be used as part of a runic build, I found this one was the most useful for harder difficulties since there is not much point in having a runic build if you can't spam runic attacks without getting killed within a few hits. To deal more damage, we'll use the Bracers of Enlightenment to buff our runic attacks against status afflicted enemies by 15%, and it doesn't take much to apply a status effect to an enemy, especially when you use the right attack with hex arrows. For the last armor piece, we'll use Nidavelir's Finest Waistguard. Combining this with the runic attacks we'll be using are the key to turning this runic build into a runic stun build. By using this armor piece, we reduce stun drainage on enemies by 50%, which is vital for making sure this build can benefit off of stun grabbing enemies that much more often. For the Leviathan Axe, be sure to equip the Grip of Weighted Recovery to allow you to get a cooldown reduction anytime you stun grab an enemy, and using Hell's Touch as a light runic attack and Leviathan's Roar as a heavy runic attack will help you stun grab enemies that much more often by dealing as much stun damage as possible. Next are the Blades of Chaos, which we will use the Luminous Recovery handles to quickly recharge our runic attacks by using the Flame Whiplash skill to gain additional blessings of cooldown. Although you could get even more cooldown applied by fully charging the attack using the Flame Whiplash 2 skill, you could also quickly spam the uncharged attack to get multiple cooldown blessings within a small time frame. But also be sure to equip Cyclone of Chaos as a light runic attack and Hardest Rage as a heavy runic attack to dish out more stun damage too. Last is the Draupnir Spear with the Battle-Scarred Servitor attachment. This will grant a Rage Burst anytime you stun grab an enemy and combos well with the Fury Spartan Rage to allow you to get healing more frequently when needed on harder difficulties. Just like the blades in the axe, we'll be using the runic attacks with the most stun damage, so equipped Hold Your Charge for the light runic and Vintilvar's Windstorm for the heavy runic. We'll use the Dauntless Shield as well for the higher cooldown stat and pair it with the Round of Expedition to allow us to get additional cooldown reductions when interrupting double blue ring attacks or parrying. As I mentioned previously, we'll use the Fury Spartan Rage to heal ourselves when needed, and using the Hilt of Ferrati Relic will allow us to get even more runic cooldown reductions for the weapon we are attacking with when hitting any enemies that are marked by the relic. Killing any of these marked enemies can also grant a blessing of runic as well. For the Amulet of Yggdrasil, I would recommend using Vanaheim's Honor, Fortune, and Fortitude to increase melee damage against status afflicted enemies based off of our luck, which combos well with our Bracers of Enlightenment armor. Asgard's Justice, Security, and Fortitude is also good to use to increase all triangle weapon attacks and abilities based off of our cooldown, and we'll use Svartalfheim's Fortitude, Fortune, and Honor to increase stun damage we inflict based off of our defense. Don't forget about your companion though. For this build we'll have Freya with us, so we'll be using her Thrungva sword and Still Harmony runic summon to deal stun damage. Be sure to have the Sonic Aftershock, Sigil Amplification, and Runic Potency accessories equipped for her to increase her arrow status buildup while also increasing the stun damage we can apply from melee attacks against enemies afflicted with Sonic. Now that we have everything set up, here are my main combat tips I'd recommend to keep in mind with this build. Generally, I'd recommend starting fights by using your companion's hex arrows to quickly get enemies in a burn state, since it is the only elemental status that will continue to do damage over time. You can do this quickly by spamming the Flame Whiplash 1 or 2 attack to apply the burn status effect while also giving us a chance to get a cooldown reduction on each hit too. Either way, once you get them in a burn state, just switch back to the axe first to apply that much more status damage when we use our runic attacks thanks to the Extinguished Flame skill. From here, you can literally just spam all of your runic attacks if you'd like, and thanks to our chest armor piece, we don't even have to worry about taking much damage during any of these attacks. During these combos, we can switch back to Sonic arrows and use our companion's runic summon to deal even more stun damage that much faster too. If you find yourself waiting on any of your runics to recharge, then you can use your relic to gain some cooldown back for whichever weapon you are attacking with, but when in doubt, you can always go back to spamming Flame Whiplash to quickly increase your cooldown as well. Also keep in mind to use your shield for additional cooldown reductions by interrupting blue ring attacks with the shield bash or by parrying when possible. But overall, that's mostly it. This is a very fun build to use in my opinion, since it encourages you to fully utilize a lot of the game's mechanics, and it provides a good bit better survivability in my opinion compared to other Runic builds for harder difficulties too. But feel free to share in the comments below what you think about this build, or if there are any other builds or equipment that you think may be better. I definitely plan on testing out more builds on the hardest difficulty to see which ones come out on top, so be sure to share feedback if you'd like and subscribe to follow along. But as always, until next time, happy gaming!